In this video, I'll introduce you to the AutoCAD interface and show you some of the basic commands and how it operates. So you'll double click on the AutoCAD icon on your desktop. It'll take a few minutes to load, just be patient. First time you load it, it will take a little bit longer. And you can start either by clicking on Start Drawing or come up here to the A and click New. If you do New, you'll see this shows up. That's the drawing template. That's just a basic drawing template. That's fine. That's how you want to start, and open that. And you'll see something that looks like this. So this is your drawing area. That's where you're going to be doing your work. Here's your XY axis shown here. Not really important to us when doing 2D drawings. This is called the ribbon. The ribbon has all of your command tools up here. You'll notice there's a bunch of different tabs where you can change that ribbon. 95% of the time you'll be using this Home tab. Sometimes we'll use the Annotate tab for some dimensioning tools. Other than that, we won't really be using these tabs. The software is very powerful. It has lots of different features. We're going to be using the drawing features of the software. The different areas of the ribbon, this is the draw area. So anytime you want to create something new, I want to draw a line, or I want to draw a circle, I want to draw a rectangle, something like that. This will do cross hatching, etc. You notice if you leave your mouse parked on something, then it'll give you, it's called a tooltip. It'll tell you what that command does. If you leave it there for a little bit longer, it'll actually give you sort of like an example of how it functions. And anytime you see a little arrow, if you click on that, it'll show you some more features. This is the modify area. We'll do a lot of modifications. Once we put a few lines or a few circles on the screen, we'll modify them a lot in order to create accurate drawings. It's a really accurate way to draw, so it's not the same as drawing with a pencil. And again, there's more modify tools here. So if I wanted to move something or copy it or rotate it, that's trim. There's the eraser and so forth. This is the annotation areas where you put your dimensions on a drawing, and also where you put text. So we use that a lot after you've created your drawings. In a few weeks we'll be using the layer tools. We won't be using these. I would recommend you don't change the settings here unless we talk about it and there's a reason for changing the settings. I would try to leave the work environment just the way it is. You can move these menus around. You can put them on the side or the bottom. You can change the color of the screen and all kinds of things. I don't recommend you do that right now. Let's just stick with the standard situation. That way when I show you where something is, you'll know exactly where it is. This white bar down here is called the command line. So whenever you initiate a command, if you tell it you want to draw something or erase something or whatever, you'll see it'll show you where you are in the process. If you have a blank command line, nothing is happening. So if I come out here and click my mouse around the screen, nothing is going to happen. It's kind of like I talked about in the earlier lecture where you get in your car and it's in neutral. This is in neutral. It's waiting for you to tell it what to do. So you have to initiate a command. It's not just about clicking on the screen. Over here are some tools that will let you move around the screen. It's not going to do anything until you get a drawing on this sheet. Same thing here for panning and zooming and so forth. We have those tools. AutoCAD has been around for many, many years, and because of that, it has as it's evolved, as they've added new features, they've also a lot of times left the old commands in so you can do things the old way or the new way or the even newer way. So there's multiple ways to get the job done. So if I tell you a way to do it, or if you look online and someone else will tell you how to do it, or if you look in the book. So there's many ways to create a drawing and so forth. And you just have to find what works best for you. I'll show you the methods that I think are pretty efficient and work well. You can always find what works best for you. It's totally okay, but you still do have to follow a specific process for creating your drawings and creating them accurately. Remember, we talked about accuracy. CAD software is very, very accurate, but it's only accurate if you use the tools that you have available to you. So let's just draw a few lines, for example. So if you go up here and click on the line tool, and now you see the cursor changes. It's saying specify the first point, and also if you look down on the command line, it says specify the first point. So it's asking you, or prodding you to make the first move. And we can start drawing anywhere you want to. You really don't have to worry about the XY axis. Just start drawing. So I'll click the first point, and now you'll notice it says specify the next point. So specify next point. So now I can decide where I want the next point to be. You'll notice that this blue box that moves with me, that's telling you how long that line is, and then there's one that tells you what the angle is, and that's going to do that. These are the controls. As long as you leave the controls like that, you'll have that information. So it isn't just like, oh, I want to draw a line, I'll just randomly draw a line. I can very, very accurately draw a line. For example, if I want to draw a line that's horizontal, now notice if you move your cursor with a little bit of care, you see that 0 degree, that would tell me that line is perfectly horizontal. So if I wanted it to be a perfectly horizontal line that's 12 inches long, I'm just going to, don't click your mouse except for that first click. Let's just move the cursor to where it's horizontal and then type in 12 and hit enter. And now notice it's still going to try to keep drawing. That's okay. Let's just hold off on anything else for now. So down here I have a line that's a perfectly horizontal line that is exactly 12.000 for 9 zeros inches long. If I want to try to make a box, let's say I want to make a box that's 12 by 6. So now just move your cursor up, and now we're going to have to use a little bit of care because we want it to be really a vertical line, a perpendicular line. So I'll get it until it says 90 degrees, and then I'll type in 6 and hit enter. So I'm not clicking my mouse, I'm just moving the mouse, and then I can move it to the left, and I know that's going to be 12, enter, and then I can come down here and click on the end point of that line. See how it says end point, and click on that. Now the software is going to want to keep drawing because this line command is still active. So you can hit enter to stop, or you can hit escape. So the escape button on your keyboard is a nice tool because it'll stop whatever you're doing. If you get in the middle of a command and you're confused and you want to stop, hit escape. If you want to totally clear the command line, hit escape twice, and it'll bring you up to a blank command. So again, now I'm in neutral. So now I have a box that's exactly 12 inches by 6 inches. And let's quickly check that. So if I come up here to dimension, and this dimension tool is pretty smart. If I just click on this tool and then click on these two endpoints, so click on there and there, I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit, and this is a good time to think about or how to use the mouse. Let me do a vertical one too. So click there and there. If I zoom in, so now to zoom, I want to hit escape to finish that dimension command. So it thinks I want to keep dimensioning. So now if I roll the mouse wheel, one way it zooms in, the other way it zooms out. The other thing I can do is hold down the mouse wheel. So if you push down that button, you see that hand that pops up on the screen? That's called panning. So now I can move it to the right, move it to the left, move it up or down. I try to keep my drawing in the center of the screen and keep it big enough where I can see what's happening. You know, sometimes I see people drawing and they're zoomed way out, and my eyes aren't that good, so I keep it where I can see it. So that tells me, again, now it's set for 4 decimal places, but that's how accurate this is. If I set it, it'll show me all the way to 9 decimal places that this thing is accurate. So, and that's how we need to draw. We need to draw to exact size and shape. This line is horizontal. I made sure that this line is vertical. It's not just about randomly. I'm going to turn that tool off. We'll talk about those tools in a second. If I go back to my line command and say I want a rectangle, okay, there we go. It's not a rectangle, first of all. It's not a simple closed shape. These lines aren't horizontal and vertical, not parallel and perpendicular. I can draw some sort of a shape. It's not like a little kid's game where you're just scratching away at this thing. So use the tools that you have at your disposal to draw accurately. You have to draw with AutoCAD. You have to draw it to the exact size. The software won't correct for that, so that's up to you. And it's pretty simple technique to make that work. If you want to erase something, so erasing is a modified tool. So I come up here to erase, click on the pencil eraser, and you can see the command line says select objects. So you can just click on individual lines. If I wanted to delete that, Now notice it continues to ask me for more objects because I may want to erase more things. Let's say I want to erase that one. I'll click it. When you're done selecting, you can either right click and it'll be done, or you can hit the enter key. Okay, so let's review about the mouse. The left button you use most of the time to select things. I want to select to draw a line. I want to select to erase. I want to come down here and select something to do. So the left button you use a lot of times. The center button or the wheel, again, roll it in and out to zoom, hold it down and move your mouse, and that will move the part that's called panning. And then the right button, it does two things. One is it'll show up some additional menus. If you right click it, will show you some more features that you have available to you, which I don't use that function very often. It also is the enter key. So if you want to enter, you can either hit the enter key on your keyboard or you can right click on the mouse. The other thing now, also you always have at your disposal this undo button up here, which is really nice, and you can undo the things that you did. If you change your mind, you don't like something, you can undo, and you can actually undo all the way back to the last time you saved something. And you can also redo if you go too far. Say, oops, I didn't want to erase that. You can redo it. So that's pretty handy if you make a mistake, or you just want to see, maybe follow back and see how you got to where you were. The other way to erase is by drawing a window. Now there's two kinds of windows. If you go from left to right, let's try this. So if I erase and I come up here and just click, now don't hold the mouse button down, just click it and then pull it down to the lower right and then click it again, you'll see how it selected everything. When you select stuff, it will turn gray. And if I wanted to erase that, then I would just right click for enter and it would go away. So that's how you draw a window. Again, click on this corner, don't hold the mouse button down, move the mouse here and then click it again, right click for enter. The other way to do a window, this is kind of picky, but you'll see how it may help you later, is if you do right to left. If I do a right to left window, it's only going to grab the things that fall totally inside of that window. So for example, if I go like that, it's going to grab the stuff that it intersects with. So it intersected with those three lines, so it will erase those. Okay, so left to right, stuff has to be totally inside the window to be chosen. That's kind of picky, but anyway, that's erase tool. You know, if I said I don't want any of this, I can just quickly draw a window around it and make it go away. So that's the erase tool. Now, let's draw a few circles too. Let's erase this. So if I want to draw a circle now, notice there's an arrow below circle because there's lots of different ways to draw circles. If you click that, you'll see center, comma, radius, center, comma, diameter, 2.3 point, etc. You're either going to use center, comma, radius or center, comma, diameter. Rarely do I use these tools. And what this means when it says center, comma, radius, it means first of all you're going to click the center of the circle, and then you're going to input the radius. Now remember, with the radius, it's half the diameter. It's from the center to the outside is the radius. Whereas this one is center diameter, which means that you can click the center, but then you're going to input the diameter, which is the distance all the way from one side to the other. So if we leave it as center radius, look at the command line. It says specify a center point. Click a point, and then move your cursor, and that's going to be the value for the radius. Now what if I wanted a circle that had a radius of exactly 5? Well, I can sit here all day long moving my mouse back and forth with two hands on it, or I can just type 5. Now you don't have to do 5.00, just type 5, enter, and there's a circle with a radius of 5. If I use the center, comma, diameter, same thing, click the center point, move your cursor. Now that's going to give you the diameter. If I use a diameter of 5, so hit 5, enter, it's smaller because that's the distance from one side to the other, where the radius is from the center to the outside. It's more common to draw with center, comma, diameter. If you think about someone telling you the size of the hole, they're going to tell you the diameter. So what you want to do is when you're drawing holes is come down here and just click center, comma, diameter. And then for the rest of the time you're working on the drawing, you'll be inputting diameters. Well, you'll get plenty of practice with that. And again, if I want to erase that circle, I can make it go away. So that's the basics of getting started using the tools here. In order to save your drawing, you'll come up here, and do save. If you just do save, the first drawing you've created today, it'll call it drawing1.dwg. So all these files are going to have a .dwg extension. If you want to give it your own name, which I want you to do in this class, is do a save as. Now find a place you're going to put it. Now remember what we did is we created a folder on our desktop. And then see the name it's going to default to is drawing 1. I'm going to call it practice drawing and say save, and that will be saved in that folder that we have. Okay, in order to print something, you're going to do print, and there's the print functions. In order to put text on something, we're going to use the annotation tool in there. So to put text, what you do is it's sort of like a Word project, a Word file, and that is you're going to create a little text box. So just click upper left hand corner, click a right hand corner. It doesn't really matter how big it is. And this thing will pop up, which is kind of odd looking, but that's going to be your text. So if I want, that's where your text is going to be. If I wanted to type my name on there, and then if you keep hitting enter, it's going to keep giving you new lines. That's not what you want. What you want to do is come up here and click on Close Text Editor. Now it's kind of small. Let's zoom in. We'll talk about scales and so forth later on. So those are some of the basics, and we'll, in the next video, I'll show you some more particular ways about how to use the software.